We lose a phone and then we like, okay, what's the big deal? We buy another phone. A type 4 would cancel all appointments, all engagements, all meetings for 1 week and stay at home just because they have lost their phone. This is how they will behave. So when you have a type 4 in your team, understand them, and then you wouldn't be as frustrated. Alright? Okay? Okay, so a very famous type 4, we all know him, Michael Jackson. So they want to be different. So he would say this, me and Janet really are two different people. Because they pride themselves as being individual. I am different, I'm original. Alright, so this is type 4. Okay, what about the 5s? The 5s are known as the investigator. They are very intellectual people, very smart. So they are very perceptive because of their ability to observe. They have very strong observation skills. They are able to sit in a corner and observe everybody around in the room. So they are able to see connections and between people, connections between events, connections between a group of people. They are that perceptive. So what is a type 5 great for? They are very good as strategists. If you want them to think of a strategy to launch a project, a promotion, a campaign, a type 5 will be brilliant. You can tap into their brain juice because they are very intellectual people. They are very smart, very intellectual, very intelligent people. So what happens when a type 5 becomes a little bit non-resourceful, in the medium or at the low side? They can be so much in their head that they become emotionally detached and they want to be isolated from people around. Why? Because the type 5s will be thinking and thinking, and they crave that moment to be alone to think, that they can become isolated. They want to be away from everybody, and this is when they become unresourceful or unhealthy. Now, one of the weaknesses of a 5 is they are so good at thinking and analyzing in their head that their stumbling block would be the lack of action, because they are still thinking and thinking and thinking. So if you have a type 5 in your team, you have to have a type 5 to connect with what's in their head with action, because they do massive thinking, massive analysis, and massive strategizing in their head. But whatever happens in the head, does it happen in reality? No, it does not. So you have to help a type 5 become very resourceful by connecting their strategies and their analysis into actions. Otherwise, they will still be thinking and thinking and thinking. So you'll see a type 5 wanting their own personal space. They are most comfortable in a huge room. If there are a lot of people in a room, they are most comfortable being a housefly in the corner. Because this is how they can see everybody and nobody else notices them. So type 5s will be comfortable in a big party, in the big gatherings, because this is where they can disappear. So this is what the type 5s will do. But if you manage to find a type 5 in a big group of gatherings like this, talk to this type 5 and you will understand. This type 5 can see a lot of things that the rest of us cannot observe. So this is the amazing thing about type 5. When you have a type 5 in your team, use them to do strategic thinking because they are so brilliant. Okay? So an example of type 5. Bill Gates! So this is what Bill Gates says. Be nice to nerds, because most nerds are 5. So be nice to nerds. Chances are you'll end up working for 1. Because they are so brilliant, they are so smart, so they end up starting out the businesses and hire the rest of the people who are not as nerdy and geeky as them. So this is, Bill Gates is a 5. Okay, there are other 5s like Einstein, Thomas Edison. Most of the scientists, they are type 5s because a lot of intellectual work is in place. Okay, 5s. 6, for a type 6. Type 6 are very interesting people. I love them. I love type 6. Now, type 6, they are known as the loyalists. Because type 6, it is not easy to earn their trust. They don't trust people very easily. Why? Because for a type 6, they think of the world as a very dangerous place. So they have a lot of anxiety, they have a lot of worry, and they want to make sure that they are well prepared. So a type 6 at their best, okay, a type 6 at their best, when they are the most resourceful, they are excellent planners, they are excellent organizers. They have the ability to plan everything very well. Why? Because they have the ability to see all the possible areas that could go wrong. And because of that, they are extremely great at creating the system and structure of a team. So if you want a type 6 in your team, a type 6 would be excellent to actually develop the system and structure, the whole administrative system and structure, the whole marketing campaign system and structure. They are excellent at doing all of those system and structure planning. They are able to see all the different processes that could possibly go wrong, and then they can be actually planning excellently well for that. So that is the strength of a type 6. So type 6, very committed, very responsible. They are always excellent planners. They are the people with the backup plans. They have the backup plan to the backup plan to the backup plan to the backup plan, just in case somewhere along the line something goes wrong. So for a type 6, this is how they view the world. The world is a very dangerous place. There are a lot of things that could go wrong. So a type 6 needs to feel safe. They want to feel safe. So in order to feel safe, they have to be well prepared. So they're always very well prepared. I have a friend that I used to travel with in business. So when we go for a 2 weeks holiday, a business trip, my bag will be this big. And this friend of mine, 2 weeks, same 2 weeks trip, same objective in this trip. His luggage will be this big. So huge, you'll be overweight every single time. But I love traveling with him because I don't have to carry a lot of things. He carries everything for me. So I will ask him, do you have hangers? Because 2 weeks we need to have a lot of clothes to hang up. So he said, yeah, how many do you need? So I was surprised. How many do you have? How many do you need? I said, do you have 10? Then he took out his this big luggage, unzipped the luggage and counted 10 hangers and gave all the 10 to me. And I said, wow. Do you have any for yourself? So he opened his luggage and there are at least another 10 more for himself. So he is that well prepared. So he's like, everything that I want, he has it. So I'll ask him, do you have a nail clipper? And then he'll give the nail clipper to me. Do you have cotton buds? And then he will rummage in his luggage and then gives me the cotton bud. And I ask him, do you have an iron? Because we used to stay in a service apartment. So some of these apartments, they don't have everything. And he has iron, and I'll ask him, each of us carry 2 phones. So between him and me, we have 4 phones. He has an MP3 player, and then we have computers, each of us. So at night, once we are back in the apartment, we want to charge everything up. So what do you get in the power plugs? 1 or 2, right? So I will be complaining to him, hey, there's not enough plugs, He said, I have the extension plug. So he will take up with all the 6 of them. And then I'll be telling him, hey, but this is not international. He said, look at mine, it's international. So you take out all of these extension plugs and every single one will be utilized. So he is that well prepared. So can you imagine how his house would be like? I am curious, so I went to his house. So I went to his house. I love to check out his storeroom. If he is so well structured, the best place to check is storeroom, isn't it? Because you don't want to come to my storeroom. Behind the door, or in front of the door, everything is fantastic. Behind the door, you don't want to know. A type 6, how would a type 6 storeroom be like?
Labeled.
Exactly, labeled. So I opened his storeroom. I was going to inspect. So I went to his storeroom. There are racks, metal racks, from the ceiling all the way to the floor, on all the corners in the storeroom. And on every shelf of this rack, there are plastic drawers, all the way down. And when I looked closer, I was so disgusted. Disgusted because it was so organized. So he has got labelers, he used labelers to actually print out the name. Buttons, white. Buttons, multicolored. Threads, you know the threads for sewing threads? White and multicolored and blacks, because he's a guy, he used a lot of black pens, so he needs all the black threads. But black threads in all the different contrasting blacks, and they're all in the same drawer. And then stationery, and then all the tools like hammer and screwdrivers. They've got all the different lengths, and everything is all in plastic drawers, and everything is labeled. Oh my God, but that is not the best thing. So I went to his kitchen, and I opened one of his drawers, and this drawer is that deep, and from the bottom all the way to the top, all canned food. I said, wow, you're so well prepared. Is Singapore going to have a war? He said, no, it's better to be prepared than to be sorry. So I opened the second drawer, and same thing, it's all piled to the top with canned food. And so is the third drawer and the fourth drawer. So I checked out his fridge. I love checking out his fridge. It's all packed with all the vegetables and fruits and everything that he wants to make sure that he is well prepared for. And I asked him, you don't spend a lot of time in Singapore. You're away most of the time. Why do you have so much of canned food? And he says, I want to be well prepared. So this is what the 6 will do. So if you travel with the 6, they are always very well prepared. But the strength, I want you all to think of this. Imagine having a 6 in your team. Oh, they will prepare and organize everything in your team until everything is so well structured. There is always a backup plan. So a 6 would always plan for the worst, but they expect the best. Excellent, isn't it? So what happens? What happens when a 6 is no longer at their best? What happens if this 6 goes a little bit medium, average, or all the way down to the low side? What happens? They can worry very intensely, they have a lot of anxiety, and they can have a lot of fear. Very fearful. Now this is what a 6, an unhealthy or unresourceful 6 would do. They pick up assumptions in their mind. So what, for example, if Tina is talking quietly to Michael in the corner, for all I know, you may be planning for where to go for lunch. But a 6, if a 6 is unhealthy, now a 6 will begin to observe this couple whispering in the corner, and the 6 will think this, assumptions in the head. What are those two doing? They must be saying something bad about me. So this is what a 6 would do. 6 is excellent at projecting their assumptions. These assumptions are very real to them in their head. They are very real because they worry, and they're often wrought with anxiety. So they've got all of this anxiety and worries and fears. So this becomes very real assumptions in their head. These projections, they are very real. You can talk to a 6 and say, hey, don't worry so much. But a 6, all these assumptions are very real to them. So when a 6 as a 6, and I see Tina and Michael gossiping and talking, between themselves in the corner, this is what an unhealthy 6 might do. An unhealthy 6 might go to another group of people and then tell them, look at this couple, look at what they're doing. I think they're saying something bad about us. And then a 6 will be able to turn this whole group of people against them. So 6s are very good at doing something like this. They're able to turn groups of people against another group. So how to help an unresourceful 6 become resourceful? You assure them, you help and make sure that whatever plans, whatever anxieties is always laid back. That means you help them to allay all their anxieties and fears. Alright? So, example of 6s. There are 2 kinds of 6s. The phobic 6s and the counter-phobic 6s. Phobic 6s are those who are afraid, and all of these fears and anxieties hold them back from doing whatever they want to do in life. And the counter-phobic 6s are those who would confront their fears. So a counter-phobic 6 are those who would do all the extreme sports. Bungee jumping, skydiving, you know, all the extreme sports. You will see a counterphobic 6 doing all of these extreme sports just once.